Launching things into space was earlier managed by the government agencies working with bigger aerospace contractors. But in today's time, the workload on these agencies have been permanently shifted to the next era. In the past 2 decades, several popular startup space companies have shown sheer efforts in how they can compete and win against the leading space giants. When it comes to chanting about space, the first word that comes up in everybody's mind is SpaceX. This Hawthorne, California-based American company creates rockets and makes things possible, which was never done before. In 2020, SpaceX became the first and only private company to send 2 astronauts to orbit, and they have built SpaceX Falcon Heavy, a gigantic rocket built to send people to Mars. NASA, on the other hand, is a government-owned and funded organization, but they're equally SpaceX's biggest customers. Space launch services have long been the only source of revenue for SpaceX, and the company launches both commercial and military satellites for its clients. It's easy for several people to get confused about SpaceX versus NASA. The major reason is that both establishments have a different set of budgets used for space activities. So if you're looking to find out all the differences between these 2 unique space companies and how much they spend on their activities, then you must watch this video. Hello guys, welcome to Tech Power, and today in this video we will talk about NASA versus SpaceX budget. But before starting this fantastic video, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to get notified about our latest videos. So let's get started. When it comes to space travel, the 2 names that hit the news now and then are NASA and SpaceX. And like I said earlier, Elon Musk privately owns the latter. The company started from scratch and today is one of the few startups that smile to the bank. At the first ever US Air Force Space Pitch Day, a 2-day event was held for the military arm to talk to multiple non-traditional startups and businesses. SpaceX CEO Elon Musk said the company's massive Starship rocket would be cheap to get into orbit. They're considering operation costs of around $2 million, which is very less than even a tiny rocket. And this is why this big space company is unique from others. What sounds like a lot is their tiny fraction of what exactly is the cost of NASA launches. It's said that NASA spends an average of $152 million per launch, meaning that if Musk is believed, then SpaceX would be able to launch cargo and people into orbit for 1.3% of what NASA is currently paying for the same task. SpaceX is looking to send its massive and reusable rocket named Starship Heavy to send into space and far, onboarding 100 passengers into Earth's orbit. Within 10 years, SpaceX will build a ferry that could lift up to 1,000 passengers from one city to another within the next 10 years. Looking at this, it might seem that this is an extremely ambitious target. From breaking down the cost to improving reusability, SpaceX has a much smaller workhorse where rocket Falcon 9 currently costs $62 million. NASA spends millions of dollars every year on its space activities, while SpaceX spends only a few million dollars on its selected activities. Now that doesn't mean that SpaceX is superior. The large fund that Musk's company is getting from the US government from various projects is aiding the company to position itself as a leader in the space launch business. However, NASA not only has all the resources to back major projects, including space travel, but also they have all the capabilities to help SpaceX or other space travel companies achieve their space travel mission. And while it was seen to be a major milestone for the private space company, all the significant events of SpaceX has come by lowering the launch costs. Although SpaceX made several modifications to the fuel and engines, the company's breakthrough has come from recovering and reusing as much of the rocket and launch vehicle possible by saving NASA's money. SpaceX now handles about 2/3 of all the NASA launches, including several flights, research payloads, and many more. NASA is currently working on multiple research space projects, including NISAR, a joint venture between NASA and ISRO to develop a dual-frequency synthetic aperture radar satellite for remote sensing. Back in 2006, NASA announced a mission to create a permanent base on the moon's surface, but was refused by President Barack Obama. However, SpaceX, on the other hand, has set its high targets for the next decade. The company developed a reusable rocket launch system to soar high and tear Earth's orbit to reach Mars. Musk also stated that one of the major goals of SpaceX is to improve the overall budget of the space activities and to improve the activities. In May 2020, the SpaceX Crew Dragon spacecraft launched 2 NASA astronauts Douglas Hurley and Robert Behnken to the International Space Station, starting a new era in human spaceflight. SpaceX is looking for some serious plans, and the next one is to fly a Crew Dragon to space with humans, proving that their rocket is capable enough to launch humans safely into space. The company also made a clear statement that within 100 years, their primary aim will become successful by transporting 1 million people to Mars. With today's available technology, sending one main rocket into the red planet would cost around $10 billion, and believe me, that's a lot more. And when it comes to budget, the approximate budget is 1% of the federal budget. Only for a certain period, the budget allocation soared to 4.41% due to the Apollo mission in 1966. For the fiscal year 2020, NASA has got $22.629 billion from the federal government, representing 0.48% of all US government spending. However, SpaceX is operated with total funding of $1 billion in its first 10 years of operation, like until 2012, including several private equities and Musk's investment of around $100 million. In 2015, SpaceX raised over $1 billion in funding from Google and Fidelity, establishing the company valuation at approximately $12 billion. There was some discussion going around SpaceX stepping into IPO, but Elon Musk soon rejected it. As of 2021, the market value of this gigantic space company has reached $74 billion, and the majority of earnings come from its rockets. SpaceX has a strong record of innovation and execution, having the distinction of carrying out the first commercial manned launch while raising the bar for reusable rocket technology. NASA and SpaceX both are committed to working together in space ventures, even though one is spending billions and the other isn't. And when it comes to profitability, SpaceX will win this race, since as a private company funded by government grants and payments from payload companies, it only has to keep up business as usual to continue launching rockets. However, until Musk's plan is being finally succeeded and lands the first people on Mars, NASA will likely hold out in people's minds as the preeminent leader of space exploration. Not only because they have launched several visions with more in mind than money, but because with spacecraft like the Voyagers 1 and 2 still active in interstellar space and many more since successfully exploring the inner and outer planets of our solar system, where SpaceX hasn't gone so far. So, what do you think about SpaceX and NASA? And who will be more successful according to you? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and we will be happy to hear from you. Also, if you found this video interesting, then don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.